Hi Aquarius, it's Jenny here with your June Tarot Horoscope. So we're just going to pull a single card for you for the month of June, see what's coming up. The first 2/3 of June is Gemini season, and then we will have the June solstice, so that'll be the summer solstice if you're in the northern hemisphere, and the winter solstice if you are in the south. And then from the solstice onward will be Cancer season for the rest of the month. So that is what will be coming up for you. Just going to pull a card here, try not to throw anything on the floor, and see what comes up. Fun part, just shuffling, hoping. There, we'll take that one. Okay, Aquarius, this is what we've got. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have the 8 of Cups in reverse. So this is the way he looks the right way up. We have this man. He's got packed up on his journey, and he is walking along. There's this little village or something in the background there. These cups are around him, and these sorts of flies or bugs are kind of flying in the air around. And it came out upside down like that. Okay? So, 8 of Cups. Okay, 8 of Cups. On the journey to your personal destiny. Dreams and visions that cannot be easily grasped are nevertheless an important part of our inner world. They help our consciousness to expand and our power of discernment to grow. Begin your search now. Like the cups, the moon in the upper left corner stands for your spiritual needs. The card encourages you to start your journey and to keep moving. But it warns you not to become too restless, because then you might hurry past your goal, represented by the village in the background, without noticing it. The flies depicted on the card thus have a central meaning. They symbolize the autonomic nervous system and therefore the tension alternating with relaxation that regulates our biorhythms. Replace nervousness or sluggishness with purposeful action. Go where your heart wants you to go. It is your task to become aware of your inner flow. This is the best remedy against addiction as well as loneliness. It is said that everything flows, but sometimes the inner life has dried up or overflowed and submerged all. Think of your life as a journey. Be like the journeymen of old who used to travel in order to become masters of their craft. Where do you come from? Where are you headed? Don't force your feelings and inclinations to fit into a preconceived logic. You will find your own destiny in the balance of your own feelings and thoughts. You will discover it at the place where the experience of the flow is the strongest. This is not only a wonderful spiritual experience, it is also a very practical way of dealing with everyday life. The lazy ones are the clever ones. The person who succeeds in going with the flow exerts relatively little energy and yet achieves the most. Practical advice. Feel and trust your inner flow. Be aware of your own personal rhythm and make it an integral part of daily life. Feast and fast. There is a time for everything. Okay, so this card is kind of suggesting you tap more into your emotional realm and sort of like your emotional intuitive realm. So talking about trying to get on your life journey or the kind of river of your life force that is flowing along, and if you can get into the river and be going in the same trajectory as what your heart is kind of, as heart is this like this wellspring, where the mountain spring is, and the source of this river that's kind of pumping out your desire, and that desire is this channel. And if you can get on that life force, and if your action and your will is in line with your heart's desire and your purpose, then you've got this smooth sailing, not necessarily smooth sailing, but definitely fast in this river of your life. So you're really wanting to, in order to align your will and your action with your desires and therefore create this purpose, you have to be tuned in to listening to what that desire is. And it's not necessarily the most rational or cognitive exploration to find out what this heart desire is. So Aquarius, you're typically pretty good with the rationalizing, using that air element, using the qualities of your mind and being logical and figuring things out. So that tendency can just to try to do this with your mind and try to figure it out. And that in a way is sort of like not really tapping into the flow. It can certainly be a tool to be used, but your heart's desire sometimes isn't super rational, or it isn't, what it is that you really are truly wanting might not look like what makes the most sense in the way your life is currently. So if you've got things set up in a particular way, it makes a lot of sense, especially if there's a lot of feedback from other people of like, yeah, you're where you're supposed to be, or this is the way things are done, or this is the way you're supposed to succeed, or this is the way you did it before, or this is in line with what you used to like. And then that feedback, usually using the mental rational tool, would say, well, then keep doing that. And so if there is a change, obviously, if that's where you're at and you're still in that aligned flow with what you truly want, then that's great. But you don't know that unless you've been able to check in and assess again. But that assessment is not necessarily mental, rational. It is settling into a different intuitive state and tapping into that emotional realm. And there can often be a really big kind of barrier, which is this fear of failure, or fear of getting it wrong, or fear of not knowing. It's a really easy, when we do our like mental rational checks, it's easy to show your work. You can see how you got to the conclusion you got to, and if you make a mistake and it's a rational one, you can kind of look back and see where you went wrong, and you can kind of know that the answer is going to be right based on the steps you've taken. But emotionally or intuitively feeling into that heart space is often doesn't make sense, and there's a way greater risk of getting it wrong. Or if you get it wrong, it's harder to catch it, or it's more embarrassing, or it's just, it hurts more, because what you're actually kind of connect with is what you really, truly, truly desire. And so many times we hide that. We can hide it from other people so they can't hurt us, so they can't take it away from us or make fun of us. And we often hide it from ourselves. And we say, well, this is what I really want, but it can't really be. Or no, it doesn't make sense. Or no, I shouldn't have that, or whatever it is. And it's just easier to convince ourselves that it's something else that we want. So, if you don't fail at something that's only like your second or third favorite, and you don't get what you want, it doesn't hurt as much as if you truly, truly know what it is you want and you don't get it. And so we always have this secret little fear that, what if I don't get what I truly, truly want? And the way I can dodge that disappointment is maybe to just never actually know what I want, or never to actually go for it. Just keep it secret. Then it's like this kind of pipe dream, this fantasy that, well, if I tried to go for it, I'd probably get it. I could, if I tried, I'm just not going to, because there's this fear, this what if. So you have to be able to sit with that fear and acknowledge that that's possible. But if you don't actually tap into what it is you truly want and try to get into that flow, then you're really never going to get it. And so, but it's hard, it's that disappointment of things that we never even tried to get can feel like it's easier to let you down. But it's often that sort of behavior that when you get to the end of your life's journey, like this guy, it's sort of saying, what if he rushes past this village? What if he rushes past his destination, going through what he thinks he's supposed to do, or trying to get it all right in that way? And then by the time he gets to the end of the road, he's like, this isn't really where I was trying to go, but it's a long way back there, and it's a big journey, and I'm paddling up a river. So there's both this need to identify what this desire, this river flow is, so you can ride that river, but also to know what it is that your goal is, so that you don't pass it, or don't get too nervous or agitated, like, it's not happening yet, maybe I better get out of the river and check. There's when you think about the way we build roads, often we build roads in straight lines. We think it's fastest and it's efficient, and we're going to get where we're going to go. And rivers, they form in kind of meandering curves. They go with the landscape. They can double back. And so if you're thinking about getting to your destination in a straight line, a river seems like a really dumb way to go. But it goes with the flow of life and the landscape. And so if you're in a river and you think you're going this way and the river turns, you can often think, oh, we're going the wrong way. I got to get out. I got to go straight. When really it's just taking a different route to get there. And the things that you might experience along the way may be really, really important, so that you arrive at your destination at the right time and with the right tools and the experiences. So you don't want to have this frantic, nervous energy either of like, well, what if I miss it? What if I'm going the wrong way? So there's a lot. There's a lot of heart in this card, and there's a lot of heart in this concept, and because of that, there's a lot of risk, and that just makes this kind of more heightened. But that's the card. But we're in the month of June, which means we're starting with Gemini season, and Gemini energy is just like, who cares? Let's have fun. Let's just do this, and let's not be too serious. We're going to go from here. We're going to just kind of adventure around. We're not going to get bogged down in any one thing. We're going to try this. We're going to try that. So even if there's this this concept that's very serious because it's very, very important to the heart, Gemini season's like, but you don't have to be so serious about it. Just because this is a serious topic doesn't mean you have to be stern and boring about it. So there's this invitation that, yeah, we don't want to be disappointed, but like, cut back a little. Like, being stressed out about it isn't going to make it any easier. It isn't going to make you safer. It's not going to make you more successful at finding out what this is. If anything, if you're ever going to be able to relax and tap into really being honest and feeling what your heart's desire is, you're not going to do it from a tense place. If you can do it from this kind of light, anything goes Gemini trickster vibe, it might be a little bit easier to accept what comes up and not immediately judge and think, oh, that's not right. Gemini is this beginner's mind as well, which is kind of like, I'm not a master of anything. I'm not going to think I know better. So, oh, sorry. I'm not going to think I know better. Therefore, you're not necessarily going to second guess what comes up. You're just like, cool, this is the adventure. Let's go on it. So there's this, this really positive, excited kind of vibe that you can bring in for this particular season, and start your journey with this, like, there's the element of like the fool's journey with Gemini, like the fool card of, I'm just starting out, anything can happen and I'm okay with that. So that's a really great kind of thing to bring for buoyancy here. Then in 2/3 of June 21st, I believe, is the solstice. And so that's, the if you're in the northern hemisphere, the light is at its peak. Southern hemisphere, it's the dark at your peak. But in any case, this is one of the extremes of our experience of light and dark. So with that far extremity, we're then about to turn around and go back. The sun is, or the earth is tipped as far as it's going to go on the axis. Ooh, and there's this turning around. This energy's been going in one direction and we're about to reverse it. So at that point, there might feel like this, that might even be more when you kind of settle into your epiphany, especially if what it is that you're really truly wanting or desiring is not the same thing you've been doing before. If it feels like you've been going in a direction and suddenly you're going to reverse it, that's what the energy of the planet is doing, is going in one direction. We're about to turn the other way. So around solstice, you might really feel that, like, oh no, I want to go this way. This is where I want to go, which might really feel like this release. Around that day, you might first feel like a lot of tension as things come to a standstill, where you're like, nothing's happening. I don't know what I want. I'm doing everything wrong. Ugh, it just feels like that before we get that new path. And then there might be this more of that insight, or this, aha, oh, now I've got it. And then you just have to have the courage to apply. The first step of this card, of course, is just the knowing, the understanding what that desire is, but then you have to do it. You have to step into the flow. You have to actually ride that current. So after solstice, that's the turning point, and we turn into Cancer season. So Cancer is a water sign, and it's going to be fairly well tuned into this card in terms of cups as water element as well. So with Cancer, then it's going to be a little bit, in a way, easier to tap into how you feel about this change, what that desire is. Once we're tapping into this heart space, and that's kind of often easier to do through the emotional realm. How do your emotions sit with it? Does it feel like it's something that wants to grow? And Cancer is the sign of the nurturer, the mother. And so if you've suddenly, maybe at the solstice, you've got this more insight, you've been sitting on thinking on it, what it is that this heart's desire is, and then you get to start nurturing it. You get to water it, you get to feed it, you get to take care of it, and just kind of growing this project from a little seed and protecting it. And especially at this sort of stage, there's this idea of you being the tender of something that's still really fresh, that's still kind of in danger, still requires the mother's touch, or still requires the protector and nurturer, which means that there might still be this, like, it might feel really fragile, like you've got this insight, but like, ooh, do you feel confident yet? Might feel kind of hard to take care of. So there's still, there's an understanding that it's not going to be solid. You're not going to like feel immediately confident out of the gate and that your life's going to turn around. Like, you're still at the baby stage nurturing thing. So have that patience and care, and know that it will grow as long as you care for it. You will, flow in that path and move forward in a direction that is aligned with what it is your heart truly desires. And it'll just, it'll be a work in progress. It'll grow slowly over time. So that's sort of that's what I'm going to leave you with for this particular card. Yeah, and I think you're gonna be okay. Just have that patience and don't be thrown off if there is that period around solstice that like, oh, what's happening? Everything feels weird. As that course correction or that direction change happens. So yeah, just a reminder, if you, so this is your personal June tarot horoscope, but if you were looking for more specifics on the Gemini portion, so up to the up to the June solstice, you can go to my YouTube channel and check out my Pay What You Can Gemini workshop. So that'll have a collective reading, and it'll kind of tap into energy of what everybody's going to be dealing with, talk about some planetary transits as well to give you a little bit more tools to work through this period. So you're welcome to give that a try. And if not, and in any case, I will see you in July. Take care, Aquarius.